Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue, today from White Manor in Malvern in Chester County. We're going to introduce you today to a gentleman who has won, you ready, 32 club championships here at White Manor. But his list of victories goes national. And here in the Philadelphia area, he is the 5-time winner of the Super Senior Award in the Golf Association of Philadelphia. We're going to introduce you to Don Donatoni here at White Manor at the Champions Room, next on Inside Golf. Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirstteephiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.
I'd be nowhere near the golfer or person that I am today without Cam. We don't hold our thoughts back with each other, and that's why we're able to be so successful.
Jordan brought with him a tremendous desire to achieve, whether it was that first day that we met or every session thereafter.
One of the epic performances.
Accomplishing these lifetime goals, could not have done it without Cam.
The best stories end in thanks. Share your story at ThanksPGAPro.com.
Welcome back to Inside Golf. We are so happy to be here at White Manor Country Club in the Champions Room with the ultimate champion, Don Donatoni.
Thank you, Harry.
Finally got together with you.
Yeah,
huh?
yeah.
I mean, I know you're a longtime viewer and we appreciate your support, but boy, have you been a longtime contributor and ambassador to golf. You know, the old saying about you don't get older, you get better. Mm-hmm. Does it apply to anybody else better than you? I don't know. Your list of achievements keeps getting longer as you get longer in the tooth.
Yeah, I've heard that, and it's amazing how I've been able to continue to perform. You know, at a high level. At a high level.
Let's face it, Don. I mean, you've won the Super Senior Pennsylvania Amateur Championship 5 times in a row.
I won the Philadelphia Super Senior 5 years in a row.
5, Philadelphia.
Yeah, I've won 2 state Super Senior championships. I've won a state senior match play when I was younger.
All right, let's begin at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Born in North Jersey.
Yes.
Where was the closest golf course?
Well, it's where I earned my first dollar, actually. It was Rockaway River Country Club in Denville, which was the town next to Rockaway. And when I was 14 years old, my father, being the kind of work ethic guy he was, said it was time for me to, get out there and make a living. And I said, well, what should I do? He said, well, I'm going to take you to Rockaway River Country Club and you're going to be a caddy. And I said, oh, all right. So my dad took me there the first time, and then every other time I went, I hitchhiked to Rockaway River, and it's really where I made my first dollar shagging balls for a member, and you weren't shagging for Ben Hogan, so these balls were going left, they were going right,
and you're chasing them
and
down.
I'm chasing everyone down and hustling my butt off and picking each one up, putting it in the bag, and when he was done, he would wave me in, and I'd hustle in. I'd probably lost 5 pounds, in the summer, and he would hand me $1, and that's how I made my very first dollar.
So we're talking late 50s, early 60s. Dollar goes a long way back.
It went a long way.
Yeah.
I bought. I'm sure I bought some baseball, cards, some Topps baseball cards with
Looking
a bubble
for
gum.
Mickey
back
Mantle.
then. There you go. There you go.
Yankee fan.
Yeah.
All right. So you begin as a caddy, as most players, it seems, that have gone on to have great amateur careers or pro careers did. When did you first learn how to play the game? Who introduced you to that, other than the guys that you used to see caddying for?
Well, I think the caddy experience got me intrigued with the game. And then back in those days, Mondays were maintenance days and caddy days. So we would all like find some golf clubs and we would show up at sunup and we would play Rockaway River Country Club until sundown. And we started to slowly fall, you know, in love with the game. It was fun, and we were playing like the guys we would caddy for, you know, except we were playing for nickels and dimes, and they were playing for dollars or whatever back then. But I think, Harry, what really got me hooked on the game was when I was still around 15, 16. There was an exhibition match at Baltusrol in Springfield that I desperately wanted to go to. And it was between Arnold Palmer and the great late Tony Lima. Wow. And some of us older gentlemen
Killed
of
in
the
a plane
game.
crash, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Champagne Tony Lima.
Remember Champagne Tony Lima. And I remember hitchhiking. My mom and dad didn't know I was going to do this.
That's another thing that nobody does anymore, hitchhike.
No, they don't hitchhike. But I hitchhiked from my home in Rockaway, New Jersey to Springfield. And I got into the exhibition match, and it was a young, virile, strong Arnold Palmer against the beautiful swing of Tony Lima, and I watched all 18 holes, and at the end of the match, I was fortunate enough to get an autograph from Tony Lima. I didn't get one from Arnold that day. Now I have some autographs from Arnold Palmer at my home now, but Tony Lima stopped. And he signed my card or whatever I had, and he asked me a couple of questions, and I kind of stared at him in awe, and it was at that moment that I said, you know what, I want to be a champion just like him. I want to grow up to be like Tony Lima, and love this game, enjoy this game, and hopefully someday be a champion myself.
So if there's one guy that was an inspiration to you, it was the late Tony Lima.
It was.
How about that?
Yeah, it was at that moment. But then Arnold Palmer really became, you know, my hero, as Mickey Mantle in baseball became my hero growing up, and you know, I was just taken. I was blown away by Palmer and the strength of his game and how he played the game, and it was those kinds of things early on in my life that I think got me excited about the game and got me hooked on the game, and then I couldn't get enough of it, and I just couldn't wait for caddy days, you know, on Mondays, and days that we didn't get a loop, because back then, you know, there were 50, 60 caddies, and us young guys, you know, we'd get burned and never get out, but we always found somebody with a driver's license, and we'd all pile in a car, and we'd go to the local range where they had a 9-hole pitch and putt course, and we would play all day pitch and putt, and I think that's how my short game, you know, developed, and why I think I still have a pretty good short game today.
How about, you know, we all remember the first time we broke 100, the first time we broke 90, the first time we broke 80. We're going to take a break. We'll be back to talk to Don. We'll find out the answers to some of those questions and a lot more. We're at White Manor in the Champions Room with a real great champion, Don Donatoni. Stay with us. More to come on Inside Golf.
Success requires hard work. No way around it. Realize timing is key. Be willing to push yourself. Stay in control. Trust technology to support you. My father once said, "Doesn't matter what you do in life, just be the best at it."
Welcome back, Inside Golf. We're at White Manor, the Champions Room, with Don Donatoni, who is quite a champion. And we're talking about his start in golf. And it's some of the things that happened to him at a young age, and we kind of teased on in the last segment's end about how we all remember maybe when we first broke 100, maybe first broke 90, and getting better. What were some of the high water marks for you as a kid? When do you remember first breaking 100 and 90 and 80?
Oh yeah, and it was with my dad and my father. Even though he was a lumberjack, I mean, he had his set of golf clubs, and I remember he would wake me up early in the morning, and I'd be sound asleep in bed, and he would, all right, Donnie, it's time to get up. We're going to go play golf. And I said, okay, Dad, I'm ready to go. And we would go to a little 9-hole golf course called Masdra Brook. I don't think it's there now. It's probably houses. And my dad, even though he enjoyed the game, he hit these huge bananas. And so we were always looking for his ball. But I remember playing Masdra Brook, and I broke. First time I ever played it, I broke 40. For 9 holes. Now this is after I had, spent time caddy days. Fine-tuning my game, going, sneaking off to that pitch and putt course and working on my short game. So the game came relatively easy for me when I was younger.
What's always been the best part of was it driving the ball? Was it your iron play, around the greens putting? What's been a really good and consistent part of your game?
Well, I got a nickname maybe 20 years ago. A member of White Manor who played a lot of golf with me at the time nicknamed me Donnie Fairways. So I guess
better than Donnie Bunkers or Donnie Woods.
That's exactly right. I guess my T-ball, I've always been able to consistently, not all the time, but relatively consistently keep the ball in the fairway off the tee. But I'm still getting it out there at our age. I'm still getting it out there, carrying it 235, running it out to maybe 250. Occasionally I'll really catch one and get it out there to 265, 275.
That works.
In that range. It works, and as long as it's in the fairway, that's even better. So
that's great. Keep it in play.
Keep it in play.
You've won 32 championships just at White Manor, right? Between senior championships and before you were a senior. Yeah. 32. I mean, they're going to name this place after you. Just kidding. But how do you manage to, stay good like that in competition? Because you've won not only around Philadelphia and the state, you've won at Pinehurst, you've won, you mentioned Innisbrook, you were down there, you won at Tampa. So you're on the national scene. So how can, that's not tough taking your game. You're just going from your home club to a friend's club for a stag day or something. Right. You've done it in competition.
Yeah. I've been able, I think I'm mentally strong. And I think you need to be mentally strong to play 18 solid holes of golf. There are times when your head or your mind may wander a little bit, and you got to get it back. I used to be a really good closer, and what I mean by that is if I was in an important match, holes 15 through 18 were my holes. And then I found that I was starting to lose that. I was getting tired mentally, and I had to start to refocus that the game wasn't over. And I've been able to get that back. So physically, I feel good. I work out now more than I have in the past. I try to work on my flexibility. I'm consistent. My game is pretty consistent. I'll never go real low or real high, but I'm always going to be in a nice, tight range.
Very competitive range.
A very competitive range, and I think it's because my swing is somewhat compact. Not a lot can go wrong with it, and if I'm chipping and putting well that day, I'm gonna shoot a pretty good round.
That's great. We have a couple minutes left. Let's find out from you what, aside from White Manor, which is your home club, and you've been here since 1981 and won all those championships that we talked about. What are some of your other favorite courses? Not necessarily in the Philadelphia region, but places you really have enjoyed playing.
Well, Pine Valley is right at the top of the list. It's a real treat.
What's your best score at Pine Valley?
Oh, that course has my number. Maybe I've played it a half a dozen times. and maybe my best score is 73. But for the most part, there's always a hole or two there that just jumps up and grabs me. And I don't think I've shot over 80 at Pine Valley, but mostly around 77, 78, you know, is my recollection. I love Oakmont. I think Oakmont is just a fabulous golf course. I've had the pleasure of playing it a number of times. Very, very, very challenging.
Pebble?
Never got on Pebble.
Oh.
But I did have the pleasure of playing Cypress Point a couple of times, and it doesn't get much better than that. We had a great time, and I just fell in love with Cypress Point. But we tried to get on Pebble, but, well, I have 3 sons. They all play golf.
Oh, that's great.
And when my third was born, I said, I have my foursome.
You got your foursome.
I have my foursome.
Have foursome will travel.
And we've always said that on the bucket list is a round at Pebble.
Finish up with a nice libation and
wouldn't that be nice?
Toast to victory
and
competition.
Yeah, it would be great.
Don?
Harry.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having us here at White Manor. We're going to have to catch up. There's a lot of stories associated with Don Donatoni, and we've just kind of scratched the surface. So if you're available, we'll be back.
I'd love to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you,
and
Harry.
Continued being such a great ambassador to the game and an inspiration for a lot of guys maybe in that upper bracket age-wise. Thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
Stay with us. More to come here on Inside Golf.
The decisions book for the rules of golf. The USGA has spent a lot of time trying to make sure the penalties are appropriate to the circumstance.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues. Now, we're at the beautiful Bluebell Inn in Bluebell, Pennsylvania. Love coming here no matter what time of the year. And, you know, it still may be a little nippy outside, inside, more than comfortable. Great lunches, great dinners, great spot to meet, the Bluebell Inn. All right, it's teed off time, and we have with us 4 gentlemen who have been here before. Sean Palmer, he's the director of golf, Union League of Philadelphia. Good to see you again, Sean.
Good to see you, Harry.
From myphillygolf.com. That is where you have to go to find out what's going on in this great game. It's Joe Logan. And the new president of the Golf Association of Philadelphia, member at Huntington Valley, Quinn Spitzer. Gentlemen, right at the end of 2017, the USGA and the R&A announced that they were going to change a couple rules. Now, we know the big rule changes will go into effect not for another year in 2019. These are being implemented immediately. And one of them has to do with the folks that sit in a lazy boy every week watching golf on television and think they saw something that happened that shouldn't have happened. Rules violation. So they pick up the phone, and this is what always gets me, Quinn. I don't know how they get through to somebody, but they always, it seems, manage to get through to somebody, regardless of the tournament, to say, hey, did you see what so-and-so just did on the 15th hole? And lo and behold, suddenly all of somebody in the rules tent or wherever they are says, oh, let's take a look at that. And we have possibly a violation reported and being assessed. And sometimes it's pretty big. And Tiger Woods got caught on something a few years ago at the Masters. Maybe the most celebrated case recently was Lexi Thompson being cited out at the A&A tournament in Palm Springs. Probably cost her that tournament when she was assessed not 2 but 4 strokes in penalties. Well, now they're saying, no more armchair rules guys. We're going to take care of it ourselves.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious how they got through too, because if they were calling with a complaint, I suspect they'd have a little bit more difficulty. But at what point did rules officiating become a spectator participation sport? You know, no other sport in the world allows people to call in and say, by the way, you missed that holding call. And I think every Eagles fan in the world would like to do that, and every Phillies fan would like to call balls and strikes. But in our sport, we know that we structure the sport based on being a game of honor. We have a very strong officiating crew for all these major championships. This never should have happened in the first place, and I'm glad it's getting paid attention to now.
It is getting paid a lot of attention to it. Well, do you think it was finally time that they did away with the guys and the gals at home who were picking up the phone?
Yeah, I can't believe they didn't turn the phones off during these championships, but I do. I think what the USGA and the R&A have done to try to simplify the rules of golf and make it more logical goes back to being inclusive and making the game more approachable for a lot of people. it defies logic of what happened with Lexi this year, and you can just sympathize for how crazy that was.
Right. Now, the other rule change that was announced simultaneously with the no armchair quarterbacks or rules officials involved, and for want of a better term, they're calling it the Lexi Thompson rule, because she was assessed not only a 2-stroke penalty for incorrectly marking and replacing her ball, but then putting down a score that was incorrect. Even before she signed the scorecard, she was assessed another 2-stroke penalty. That meant 4 strokes for 1 violation, well, 2 violations. Now there will be no additional 2-stroke penalty assessed for putting down the incorrect scorecard, whether it's before or after the violation.
You know, if you look through the decisions book for the rules of golf, the USGA has spent a lot of time trying to make sure the penalties are appropriate to the circumstance. And there are a number of examples that you can see in the book where they say, yeah, if you followed it strictly, maybe it would be 4 shots, but it's not appropriate to do that. This, I think, is another example of that. And the continual revision or examination of the rules to try to make sure that the game we play is one that's fair to everybody, yet still adheres to a strict set of rules, is something I think they do very, very well.
Sean, as a head professional now at 2 clubs, how much do you get involved from just either in competitions at your clubs or, say gap matches or where people come in and ask for a ruling? And what should they do if there is, in the midst of a round of golf, a competitive round of golf, and there's a question as to whether one rule maybe wasn't being applied the correct way? I mean, do guys now with cell phones call the pro shop and say, hey, we need a ruling? Does that happen a lot?
Quite often. We get that more than you would think. And we go back to the education process of the golfer. It's really up to the golfer to call that unless a committee member is assigned to that group to call out rules violation of a certain match. And that's happened too. We've had club championship matches that tough calls had to be made, but if we're playing for a title or a board, we have to make sure the rules of golf are withheld to their best ability. But we at our club, we typically have a springtime rules meeting, especially with our ladies gap group before they play their matches, just to refresh on this, how to use the rules of golf book. And the gap's a great tool and resource for that as well. But really, we try to put the onus on the golfer, and we show them the way to the answer so they can find it.
Joe, a common, should I say, instance of where you feel almost funny calling somebody on a shot, because after all, this is a gentleman's game, and people are supposed to call violations on themselves without a third or second party getting involved, is, from my experience, a ball that doesn't cross the hazard and where the next ball should be dropped. And a lot of times, whether it's a lateral or a hazard, okay, that's one thing. But if it doesn't cross over the full hazard, where do you drop it? And if you're playing with somebody and they take a little bit of leeway in deciding where it should be dropped, and it's incorrect, what's the proper protocol for you?
Punch them in the face.
I didn't want to go that far.
I've played enough events. That is the one circumstance where you see the most disagreement. Debate over, no, where did it cross? No, it didn't cross there, it crossed back here. You got to drop way back here.
And we have no video to help us make that call.
Right.
It's all real time. Is there an easy way out, Quinn?
Well, we run over 100 competitions a year, and what I've found in the competitions we run is if you go up and you say, I think that may be incorrect, rather than accusing the individual of making an improper drop, most of the times I see that the people say, oh, I didn't realize that. They're trying to do the right thing. There are a lot of golfers who just aren't very well informed about the rules. So the basic protocol here would be, I think the rule says this is where you should have dropped. And most people will sit there and say, oh, I didn't realize that, I'm fine.
And let him make the call, him or her make the call.
And if they have a problem with that, that's when the committee comes into play.
Okay, there you go. So don't take Joe's advice. I like your advice better. Okay, and I don't think that would be Joe's first choice, but
I'm gonna be careful playing with Joe for
he's only been playing almost 60 years, so That's going to do it for Teed Off. Stay with us. More to come with Inside Golf in a moment. Located in Bluebell, just a short drive from Plymouth Meeting, Bluestone Country Club offers a setting that's close at hand but feels like a world away. Bluestone offers a championship caliber golf course, practice facilities including a large driving range, separate chipping and putting areas, and a staff of PGA professionals. At the Country House at Bluestone, you'll find excellent food, superb service, and an outstanding setting. Their expert staff will assist in planning your next event, whether it's a wedding or simply a lunch and dinner or cocktail party. Check out Bluestone's variety of membership options. Much more than a golf course, Bluestone is a community.
The first tee of Greater Philadelphia, where golf is more than a game.
Well, I hope you enjoyed meeting Don Donatoni and hearing his story as much as I have over the last half hour here on Inside Golf. As you can see here at the Champions Room, he's well represented. You know, Don, in addition to winning 32 different club championships here at White Manor over the years, also has won 15 of 25 senior events in the Golf Association of Philadelphia just in the last 5 years. Where does he keep his hardware? Well, right here on the walls of White Manor is one spot. And they love him here, and I hope you enjoyed hearing his story today. I'm Harry Donahue. Remember, no matter how bad it's going for you out there, don't pick up. And like Don Donatoni, keep it in the fairway. See you next time on Inside Golf. Inside Golf is presented by Destination Montco Golf. 54 courses, 300,000 yards. Check them out at montcogolf.com. By the First Tee of Philadelphia. The First Tee helps young men and women become better golfers, but most important, better people. Get involved. Visit thefirsttphiladelphia.org. By the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, celebrating amateur golf since 1897. By Jersey Man Magazine, it's a Jersey way of life. And by Philly Man Magazine, bringing it to Broad Street. And by Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia Section PGA, experts in the game and business of golf. Take time to thank your local PGA golf professional.